All right, everything is out. Remember to support this with a jack underneath so these top arms aren't too stressed out. You do have to remove or unbolt the steering rack, which isn't too bad because there's only one bolt on both sides. And then metal skid plate or whatever you want to call it has to drop down. But yeah, you can see there, just to get clearance, because this bolt has to come out this way. So you just push it out of the way. It's really not a big deal. Everything else came off all right. Nothing really crazy to speak of. Just remove all the bolts. The strut, you might have to remove the airline, just so, because when you jack it up it extends out and it won't go back down. So you pull the airline and you can compress, jack this up, jack the assembly up. And it appears that these actually have the airline tools built into them. Before, on like the 430s, you had to buy a special tool, but this, you just kind of twist this when it's in here and then it unlocks it and pulls it out. So yeah, really not a big deal. The only problem is I had to use an air hammer to get this final ball joint out at the knuckle because it was stuck in there. So the front arm, you can see already, like, this was replaced, like I said, about at 65,000 miles on the car. The car has 118, and there's already some cracking in there. I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad yet, but it is the revised arm too. So it's the black painted arm, just like the new one. And the new one, I mean, has some play by default. But either way, at this point we know that it's brand new, so there's no question. Now this thing, on the other hand, you can see the arms side by side. They both have the same one arm marking. I mean, everything is identical between these two arms. Yeah, and then here, like I mentioned, the strut mount rubber bushing here is already starting to crack. Not the original. These are replaced at 65,000 also. This one's nice and new. And then, most surprisingly, you can see how bad this is ripping already, right there. And again, I don't know if this was just not put in correctly. You'd think that Lexus would know how to preload it and get the car on the ground and then tighten the bolt. But it's possible they tightened it when it was in the air. And this side, I mean, look at where that, look at where the whatever you want to call it, the I forget it, not the spacer, but the whatever. See how it's so off-center because the rubber is so worn down and crushed, and this one's in the center like that perfectly. So this is definitely a source of some noise and knocking, I'd say. I mean, that whole thing moves around in there. And then obviously the revision. So this side looks relatively the same, but once you flip it over, you'll see the vast improvement. And like I said, it's almost like they just forgot to finish it on the 07 and 08 version. Could be 09, 10. I keep forgetting what the cutoff is, but I think 07 to 10 or 11 had these old arms like that. I don't know. I'm not keen on the part number fitment. I forgot. But you'll see this giant reinforcement here that's probably going to help maintain the life of that bushing in there. Because I can't get over this. Lexus is usually good with components and suspension and everything, but man, this is the second arm now. The originals are junk, and then these were put in at 65,000. Now I'm putting these in at 118. So either way, got everything out. It's really not that bad. I really don't think it's going to need an alignment because you're not touching anything with the tie rod that would change the distance. I know a lot of people say they get an alignment and you know, toe and adjusted, but we'll see what happens. I'll make a video, obviously, after I drive it and then report back on what I think and the differences. But really not that bad. Half hour maybe, tops. This right side was a little bit tougher because it was the first time ever doing it for me, so. Alright, I'll get everything back on, and I think the next video is just going to be the road test, because installation's opposite or reverse. The other side is going to be the same. But the most important thing, do not tighten these down here, right here and right here, until this car is on the ground. Or in my case, down on the 4-post lift. I'm just going to snug them up, get everything down. I'm even going to turn the car on so the ride height adjusts, because this is going to be off that I disconnected the airline. Then once that's done, I'm going to get under the car and then torque these down. And then I think we're going to be golden. All right. Any questions, just let me know. Thanks.